What career advice would you guys give to someone just starting out?
I would just say, my time with Extra Space has been so amazing this first year, even through the pandemic. And my best advice, if you're just starting either with this company or in the industry or whatever it is don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you need to ask that question again, ask the question again. And in my experience with everybody that I've come encounter with at Extra Space, it has always been so welcomed that I'm asking the question, and yeah, ask questions. It's a great way to learn a new industry.
I couldn't agree with those sentiments more. Don't be afraid to ask repeated questions, because ultimately what you're saying to someone is, I want to learn this. And so I'm with you there on not being afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to not fit in perfectly on the first day, right? For anyone who started a new job, a new career, just graduating college or whatever, I would say, it takes a while to feel like you're settled into that new role. And again, to not feel like it should be smooth at first, but that by asking questions and kind of showing a little bit of vulnerability, I think, it's a great place to start. And I encourage you.
David, you just made me think of something. When I was promoted from the field to my first corporate position with Extra Space Storage, I had to go to Salt Lake City for the first time. And I remember some of my friends saying, don't tell anyone you're gay. Don't come out, And I was like, okay. So we had this big dinner the first night, and a lot of people coming up to me. And at the time, the CEO, who was the CEO at the time, Spencer, for those of you who remember Spencer, he knew everybody. So he just came up to me and he was like, oh, Joni, I heard that you just got married. And I was like, yes. And he's like, what's your husband's name? I'm like, Corinne. He was like, oh, well, congratulations with you and Corinne. Well, what does she do? And he was asking me all these questions. And it made me think that, I guess the biggest piece of advice I can give anyone is that, number one, coming out is very personal and you do it in your own time at your own pace. But number one, always be yourself, and don't allow yourself to be in situations where you feel uncomfortable. To what Kim said earlier, speak up. If something doesn't feel right, say something.
And you reminded me, Joni, of when we had a new DVP who's Bo Agnello come into my office in the field and say, hey, what are your career goals with Extra Space? And I said, I don't know. I kind of wanted to go to L&D, but I see how that's shifting. I don't really have an interest in being a DM. Sorry, DMs. But he said, have you ever thought about taking your team building skills to the NSC? And I said, my first response was, Utah? And he said, oh no, there's a whole cool area of Utah that's like Austin. And he sent me articles to read. And he said, you would be really good here. And it was just laid out. And so I look back at that, and I still talk to Bo, and I thank him for that. Everything just transitioned very smoothly for me here, and it's been very easy and natural. Every time I get a new team member to my team, I say, I want you to know up front, every single person in this room was new at some point. So whatever you're feeling, completely natural, we'll work through it together. I always tell them what I say here is there's a place for all of us at this organization. We make the tapestry of this organization, and every voice is as important as the voice you heard before yours. So let's just kill it together.
That's so impactful, what you just said. I love that career advice. I think I see it now as a luxury, but I definitely had the luxury of working for a company that didn't align with my personal values. And that's turned into the best career advice I can give someone, which is know what your personal values are and make sure that you know what your company's values are and that they are at least somewhat aligned. And I think that that's why hosting this roundtable has been such a pleasure, because my values align with Extra Spaces, as I think some of yours do as well. And we've had this opportunity to share advice to people like us and to people who are allies. I think it's been really impactful to hear all of you speak. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days to join us today. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Patty.
Patty.
Thank
See
you.